What's up, everybody? Welcome into Around the Felt. I'm your host, Colin Tong. Joining me, Reagan Losher. And we got the Detroit Lions on deck predicting their 2025 season and giving you a full breakdown. Reagan, how you doing, sir, before we dive in?
I'm doing good, man. I'm ready to talk some Lion football. I'm, just ready for the season to start, first off. But this is a team that I think a lot of people are excited for. And, I'm interested to see what you think. But obviously some big-time losses in terms of coordinators. But I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so in terms of additions here for this team, nothing too dramatic. I mean, DJ Reed should help out that secondary. Tyreek Williams, who they took in the first round, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. More prominently are the losses, of course, both coordinators, Ben Johnson, the head coach of the Chicago Bears, and Aaron Glenn, the head coach of the New York Jets. They also lost Carlton Davis, Kevin Zeitler, and Za'Darius Smith. Lions coming off a great regular season and then actually got, beaten up pretty bad by the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels in the postseason. 10.5 win total from Vegas. Honestly, a little bit lower than I anticipated. So perhaps the coordinators coming to effect there. Reagan, what are your thoughts of the Detroit Lions heading into 2025?
Yeah, so my thoughts on them are they are going to go 11-6. So I'm right around that line. I'm with it on that. I think they'll still win the NFC North at 11-6. And then I have Chicago actually coming in second at 9-8, and then Minnesota 8-9, Green Bay 8-9. So I just think this division is going to eat each other alive. I think Detroit's got a tough schedule, but ultimately they're the best team. I do think it'll hurt them losing the coordinators, but I'm not under the belief that the coordinators made Dan Campbell. I mean, this dude turned around the franchise completely, and I'm sure his choices for the new coordinators are going to work out well. I just ultimately think it's a tough schedule, so it's hard for me to think they're going to go 15-2 again. But still, going to be awesome. I mean, the offense is going to be sick. Gibbs, I'm super excited to see him to continue to develop. And then obviously Montgomery, the offensive line is still insane. And then they just got Tate Ratledge on that offensive line too, to slide into the guard, the guard out of Georgia. Then the receivers are still great. St. Brown, Williams going to be dogs. Tim Brown, I heard his name as a popular trade candidate, which is fine because it seems like the rookie they got, Tesla, seems like he's going to slide into the number 3. I know he's getting a lot of buzz. And then, LaPorta is going to be a beast. And then defensively, they're getting Aidan Hutchinson back. So I'm sure a lot of Lions fans feel like that's an addition in its own right, not having him in the hot start he got out to last year, really, pushing for that DPOY. And I think he's going to be a popular name for DPOY picks because he was just so freaking good before he went down. And he still was on a lot of lists, for stats towards the end of the year in that top 10 range. And it's how is that even possible? The guy didn't even play close to a full season. So, and I think DJ Reed could be a nice add. I mean, I know he kind of had a down year. I'm a Jet fan, so he did have a down year with us last year, but I still think he's got some left in the tank. And if he can return to, what we saw in his career early with the Jets, I think that could be a very nice pickup in the secondary for them.
Yeah, I'm also high on the Detroit Lions. I got them at 12-5, also winning this division. And as of right now, this can change as we go into our awards and full Super Bowl predictions. As of right now, I have the Lions representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I'm very bullish on this team. I'm very bullish on Dan Campbell. I think despite losing the coordinators, this team is way too talented to fall that much back down to earth. I mean, of course, this is a very good division, so there's a chance they're a wild card team, even with 11 wins, as you alluded to, right? But, I mean, let's be honest here. Jared Goff really just established himself in Detroit. He was 5th in MVP voting last year, is 2nd in the league in touchdown passes over the last 2 years combined. 72% completion rate is awesome. 4,600 yards, 37-12. What more can you say? Jared Goff has found his home in Detroit. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's the real deal. And there's still, it does seem like he still has a lot of haters that believe there's, better options for the Lions out there, but he's been great.
He is.
It was a rare time where you see winners on both sides because I think Stafford, had done his course there, and obviously the Rams got the Super Bowl, but it's the rare case to me where both teams come out winners.
I agree. I mean, Stafford got his ring. I mean, that trade really jump-started the Lions rebuild, and Jared Goff became a top 10, 12 caliber quarterback in the league with Detroit. So definitely worked out for both sides. I know they lost Zeitler along the offensive line, and Frank Ragnow, their star center, retired. Yeah. Definitely hurts, but let's be honest, they still are a top 3-5 offensive line unit in football. Tate Ratledge allowed just 1 sack in 3 years at Georgia. So this team knows how to scout offensive linemen. I think he's going to come in and be another really good player for them. And, of course, their tackle tandem is amongst the best in football. So they still got plenty of talent up front. I'd argue they have the best running back tandem in football in Gibbs and Montgomery.
I think I'd agree with you on that.
Yards last year, first in EPA per rush and explosive rate. Monty, 1,100 yards in 14 games. So he still was awesome as well. The receiver part, you could argue, is amongst the best in football. The entire room itself, including Sam LaPorta. Amon-Ra over 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, get him the 5th round. What a home run. Jameson Williams over 1,000 yards, really starting to come into his own after they took him 12th overall out of Alabama. LaPorta, 6th most yards from tight end, and what a lot of people considered a down year for him. Definitely took a step back, but was still top 6 in receiving yards from the position. So the offense is still going to be a juggernaut without Ben Johnson. I believe that. And defensively, man, don't sleep on this defense, man. They were 23rd in sacks last year, but they didn't have Hutchinson. They were 4th in pressure rate and had the 5th best run defense. Hutch led the team with 7.5 sacks in 5 games, bro. 5 games, 7.5 sacks, and a 25% pressure rate. That is unbelievable. To put that in comparison, Myles Garrett led the league with an 18.4. He had 25% pressure rate through 5 games.
How the hell did the Jaguars pass on this dude?
I know. And Trayvon Walker's a solid player, but like, God, you had Hutch right there.
7.5. That's what I'm saying, bro. He probably would have won DPOY. I think he could have definitely gotten 20 sacks.
He was the betting favorite. I mean, that is just unbelievable. So now he's back, right? Also, Aleem McNeill tore his ACL late last season, so hopefully he'll be ready to go soon. They got DJ Reader. They got Davenport, who's only played 2 games. You know, they definitely needed running mate with Hutchinson opposite in terms of pass rush production. But just having Hutchinson back, he's one of the best pass rushers in football. I think that's very clear now, and he would have probably won the DPOY last year if he were healthy. The secondary is also awesome. Terrion Arnold was pretty solid as a rookie. Now you got DJ Reed. Your safeties, Brian Branch playing the slot as well. Stud. Kirby Joseph, all-pro. I mean, their back end is awesome. So if they can develop as pass rushers and hopefully someone steps up outside of Hutch, this defense can be scary. Look, the team's just way too talented to not be a double-digit win team in my mind. I think 12 is a good spot when you consider they have the 3rd most difficult schedule in football this year.
It is a tough schedule.
It is. It definitely is. So that's kind of like 12 wins even seems like a lie, and you got 11-6. Like, who knows what can happen? But this team is amongst the best in football on paper.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even like care. Like, if I'm a Lions fan, like, just get in. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, even, you know, when they may be almost happier not having the 1st round bye. I mean, we saw last year, it almost seemed like it hurt them. Obviously, Washington kind of, you know, came in and just lit them on fire at home. Yeah. And, you know, that was kind of shocked. But I almost wonder, like, if they didn't have that week off, does that game go differently? You know, there's pros and cons to having the 1st round bye. I mean, it's nice for the home field advantage, but, you know, we even saw in college football. I know, obviously, different level, different sport, but every team that had that 1st round bye lost. So there's definitely something to be said about having that week off and then coming back in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you always want the bye. It's one less game.
You want it, yeah.
You could rest up. I mean, I think it's huge. But look, last year, obviously, they weren't anticipating Jaden Daniels in that offense to just go up and down the field on their defense and hang over 40 points. Not ideal, right? So the defense here is going to be the side of the ball that needs to step up in that regard, particularly down the stretch, because the offense is just way too talented. Like, you know, if these guys are healthy, they're gonna average near 30 points a game, if not more, right? So even without Ben Johnson, you know, I have faith in this offense. I have faith in Dan Campbell, but yeah, I mean, 12-5. At the end of the day, this is not a team that's happy with the playoff berth. They need to start making some damage in the NFC and get to the Super Bowl. All right, Reagan, obviously a lot of options to choose from on this star-studded roster, but who is your MVP for the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, for me, it's Hutchinson, dude. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, this guy could be the DPOY. He was, like you said, the early odds-on favorite last year, but he was the missing factor in the playoffs. I mean, I think the offense is good enough where, you know, if you lose Goff, like, you're probably not making the Super Bowl, but you could still be a playoff team. But you saw, like, their whole defensive identity shifted and was lost when he went down. So he's just such a key piece where I think there's pieces on the offense you can lose and still like not skip a beat, where this guy, it's just like evident, like without him, it's just their whole identity. And he just opens up stuff for everybody, makes everybody better on this defense. So for me, that's their MVP.
It's a great pick. I'll go on the other side of the ball for mine. I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown, second in the league in receptions last year. I mean, obviously working out of the slot, super critical for Jared Goff, the way he likes to play. They work play action off of that, and Amon-Ra is just as reliable as it comes. Like, the guy does not drop the football. Over 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. He's a guy that I could see going for over 1,500 if there weren't so many mouths to feed in this offense, right? Like, he's that elite of a talent. And, I mean, when you're second in the league in receptions behind Ja'Marr Chase, like, it just shows you how important you are to this offense and what they want to do. So I'll go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Gibbs, even though I think Gibbs could go for 2,000 yards, you do have Montgomery there too, who's a good back in his own right. So I didn't go that direction, but of course Gibbs could be a first-team All-Pro at his position as well.
Yeah, which I think it'll be hard for either of them to ever be first-team All-Pro just because they're going to, like, eat each other alive.
I know. I mean, last year Montgomery was hurt down the stretch, and Gibbs just went absolutely nuclear. It's just giving you a taste of what it could be if they didn't have both of them. But, hey, that's why they work so well together, two-headed monster, different styles.
Plus, I mean, with that full workload, what would he look like come playoff time if he had 17 games of, like, they would run that fucker into the ground.
I know,
like,
and he's not, like,
he would have, like,
big.
a ridiculous – No. I mean, he's so explosive. I mean, I almost wonder – I mean, I would say right now he's better than Bijan Robinson.
I'm going to go Bijan Robinson. I think
really?
Bijan's better.
I think that's like a crazy debate because, like, obviously, you know, same draft class, both, you know, top 15 picks. I mean, Bijan went, 4, 5? I forget. Wherever he went to Atlanta, and then, you know, Gibbs went 12. So both high capital running backs from the same class. But, you know, a lot of people were like, yeah, Bijan's the number one by far. Like, there's a huge gap, and thought Gibbs would be like an early second. Obviously, the Lions take him early, and you can see so far, like, he's been super productive. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, he definitely shows that there's not a big gap. If not, he's already better.
Yeah, Bijan went 8, Gibbs went 12. I believe the Lions had Gibbs rated higher on their board than Bijan.
Yeah.
So shows that they believe in him more. But that is the debate, right? So it's like, I mean, those guys are going top of fantasy boards for a reason. Like, they're two elite talents. They're going to be the best backs in the league for years to come. You can pick your poison there. All right,
sure.
Let's go to the X Factor. Who do you got for the Lions?
So my X Factor for the Lions, you know, there's a couple different routes you can go here. Offensively, it's like kind of settled in. So I went on the defensive side of the ball. I went with DJ Reed. I did because he was the big defensive signing this offseason. He's the guy that they need to hopefully solidify the cornerback position next to Arnold. And the cornerbacks were terrible last year. And it was just like their biggest weak point on that defense was just their corners getting torched. You know, when they put a lot of, you know, capital into it, obviously drafting Robertson and drafting Arnold last year, neither guy really was anything special. So I think he needs to solidify it and become that number one corner there. Like, Hutchinson's great and all, like, in what he'll do in the front there, but they need guys in the back end too. It can't all just be their pass rush getting there, because there's going to be plenty of times where the pass rush doesn't get there, and then it's like, all right, like, you know, you're going to get torched, you know, and then you're going to end up being in some shootouts. So I think he needs to come back to form, and, you know, he's not going to be an all-pro or a Pro Bowler, but if he can just be, you know, show like what he was with the Jets, like a top 10 corner, I think that would be huge.
I'll go with the other starting corner, Terrion Arnold, the guy who they took in the first round last year out of Alabama. You know, just to play devil's advocate, we got both corners here. I like it. Like you said, he was not spectacular as a rookie. He was all right. You know, he made some plays here and there, but he did get exposed sometimes in coverage. And when you're playing a team like the Lions, obviously you got to deal with that high-powered offense. So teams are going to throw the ball against this Detroit secondary a lot. And this, I mean, they need guys to step up outside of Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, who are established studs. It's going to be the outside corners. Can they hold up enough to let Hutch and the boys get there up front? So I'll go with the other corner. I like where your head's at. I'll go Terrion Arnold, the young buck. You picked in the first round. Let's see if you lived up to that draft status.
For sure.
Rookie of the year, man. It's tough because this class, not a ton of immediate starters, but it's not like this team's so loaded. It's not like they needed it, right? Like Tyreek Williams, he's potentially their nose tackle of the future, not a big pass rusher, but is he starting right now with Aleem McNeill and DJ Reader? I don't know. Tate Ratledge should probably start in the offensive line, and then Isaac Tesla, who apparently might be pushing for that number 3 wide receiver role right now. He has 3 touchdowns in 3 preseason games. Had another one last night, did the worm. So that was pretty cool, but he's playing pretty well. I don't know. Who's your pick here?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Tesla. I think he's going to be fucking awesome for this team. Sorry, pardon my curse. I really think he's going to be a beast for them. I think he's going to slide right in. Tim Patrick, I mean, they brought him in last year I'm almost positive it was last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but he obviously dealt with a lot of injuries in Denver, and they signed him like off of waivers. So they don't really owe him anything. Khalif Raymond's another guy, like nothing crazy there. So I think Tesla can slide into that number 3. He brings something that St. Brown and Williams doesn't. He's a bigger guy, so I think he could be that red zone threat. I mean, the 6'4", 214. So, he's a guy that could, push like 6-7 touchdowns. I don't think I'll have enough to get like to double digits, but he's a big body dude. So he could really, be that nice red zone target for them. I mean, obviously they have LaPorta already, who is that, but I don't know, man. I'm super excited about him. I mean, I know the Jets, me being a Jet fan, Tim Patrick was a name that's been floated around a lot for us to go out and get, and I'm sure a lot of other teams are going to be trying to acquire him. So I don't know. I just think, it's there. And best ball too. I've been taking a lot of like late round, like last pick shots on him because I think there will be a role in one of the, if not the highest powered offense in the league next year.
Yeah, I mean, he's got great athleticism for his size. I mean, coming out of Arkansas, the Lions moved up to get him, too, in the 3rd round. So, clearly, they see something in him. When you look at this offense, like, no one is thinking about Tesla, where he could, like, have a good impact. Because you're worried about Amon-Ra. You're worried about Jameson Williams over the top. This guy can find a good role in this offense and make some plays. I like that call out of you. I'll go Tate Ratledge as my rookie of the year because I do think he's going to start right away. And I think with all that veteran experience around him, he'll be able to gel quickly with that unit and make a potential impact in the run game. I mean, they were one of the best run blocking and pass blocking offensive lines last year. So I have a hard time thinking a guy in Rutledge that allowed just 1 sack in 3 years is going to be, a big problem for this unit. I think he'll gel quickly and be able to hit the ground running.
Yeah. No, I mean, Rutledge, obviously. And that's a nice thing, too. When you're around so many other good offensive linemen, it's just going to make you that much better.
100%. DPOY, come on, it's Aidan Hutchinson. I mean, shout out Kirby Joseph, All-Pro, Brian Branch, a stud, but shit, Hutchinson might win the actual DPOY this year.
Yeah.
Not just our pick for the Detroit Lions. So
Branch and Joseph obviously are studs, and Jack Campbell, too. I like him a lot.
They got some dudes, man.
They definitely got some dudes on this defense. It's definitely a lot better than it was 2 years ago. I'm really curious, and I guess you could say that for the X Factor too, like between Kelvin, Sheppard, the new DC, and John Morton, the OC, I'm curious like how they will work out. We've seen it, and I'm going to compare them to the Eagles because they seem like similar situations where the team is going to be so good that every year you might lose both coordinators because the team is so freaking good. And we saw with the Eagles, they lose Gannon and Steichen, and then the next batch was terrible. Mm-hmm. And then they fixed it the following year where they get Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. And Fangio, obviously, at this point, I don't think wants a head coaching gig, but you see Kellen Moore leave. So I'm curious, are we going to be looking next offseason and there's 2 new coordinators after the Lions have another successful season? Or are these guys going to or are these guys going to flop and the Lions are going to have 2 new coordinators? Because it is hard to find the coordinators, but when you find them and the team is good, it seems like they get jobs very quickly. So to me, it seems very similar to Philadelphia, where there's going to be a high turnover rate for coordinators with this team if the team is truly successful, which we both think they will be.
That's a good call. I like that out of you. All right, fantasy football. I have in my notes all. I want all of it. I wanted this entire offense. Is there anyone in particular? Like, this is a different strategy here. Anyone you don't want from this offense at their ADP?
I mean, I don't want Jared Goff. It's just because, he doesn't have the rushing upside. And I think there's plenty of other pocket passers out there that'll have more passing touchdowns and more yardage because the Lions can win any week with not even, with him throwing the ball, for 150 yards. No, I think he's good. I'm not saying he's bad.
Goff is second in passing touchdowns over the last 2 seasons combined.
No, I know, but the thing is, to me, I just don't think he has that upside that I'm looking for. He doesn't have that ceiling where it's all right, could this guy get to the top 5 range? I know he's done it before, but when I'm there, I want the guy that could be top 5, top guy with the rushing ability. He's just not flashy to me. So it's there's just other options that if I'm at the point where I'm not taking one of those big quarterbacks, I'd rather take the shot with some other options. I mean, obviously, Gibbs is going to be a beast. Montgomery is always a value in fantasy drafts. Somehow he always is a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick. yet he'll go for double-digit touchdowns and be, you're drafting him as your flex, and he ends up being, like a top 20 running back. And then the wide receivers, like I said, Williams, great value. St. Brown, either late first, early second, depending on your platform, going to be a stud. And like I said, Tesla, I'm taking in best ball leagues late.
Yeah, you didn't mention Sam LaPorta. What do you think
I'm
about
staying
Sam
away
LaPorta?
from LaPorta as well. I'm kind of out on him after last year. I just so many mouths to feed. I just don't love of where you got to take him. I don't know if he doesn't, to me, if I'm taking a tight end early, like I don't know without the touchdowns if he has the Kittle, Bowers, McBride type ceiling. And I don't think he does, because there's so many more mouths to feed. And you're just relying on touchdowns with those guys. They're pushing 100 receptions in a season, where I don't think you're ever going to see that with LaPorta, because, he's the number 2 receiving option at best. No matter what, St. Brown's going to get his and be over 100 receptions. So to me, it's like I'd just prefer some other options at that ADP.
Now, look, I've gotten LaPorta in some best ball leagues, like in the 80s. I think that was a good value for me, given what he did as a rookie. In the 80s, if I waited on tight end, I kind of like that range.
It depends. Yeah, you know what I mean? I've seen it. His ADP has fluctuated a lot, but I'm personally staying away. I don't think he's going to have a bad season. I just think, for me, I prefer guys. Like, I just prefer tight ends, like, late at that point. Because to me, he's more of the dart throw tier, because touchdowns are just so not consistent, where, like, St. Brown, I would love to have, because he's going for over 100 catches and 1,500 yards if he stays healthy. Absolutely. I shouldn't say for a fact, but I would imagine, if all things go, and over the past few years, all signs point to him being a beast again.
Absolutely. Lions fans, let us know in the comments, how concerned are you with your coordinator situation after losing both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn? Do you guys hate Ben Johnson now because he took the Bears job, your division rival? And let's be honest here, it's Super Bowl or bust in Detroit. How confident are you that this is the year the Lions can get it done?